Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Biblio Obscura. My name is Kat, and I like to read dark and weird books even better if they are queer and or translated. Today I'm doing another episode in my series 5 super specific book recs where I choose like a trope, an element, whatever, that I'm very obsessed with, and I give you 5 recommendations. And today I'm really excited because it's human and AI elements. So the way that I like it is I like the artificial intelligence to usually be in a form which is maybe human or humanoid-like, which brings about the question of humanity, like what makes a human. So I have 5 recommendations for you, and I love all of them. And I'm going to tell them to you in order from least reviewed to most reviewed, so like less well-known to most well-known. So before we get into my recommendations, I'm just going to pop up a few that I think are super well-known. So I'm not going to go over it because I think they get enough press time, but I do want to just mention them. So one is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the Murderbot series, and it is really, really good and also really, really popular. Also, Annie-Bot was a huge deal last year. It was in my best books. It had some flaws, mainly the ending, but I think a lot of people are into human AI stuff because that had a huge wave on BookTube last year. And the other one I want to recommend is Defy the Stars, the series by Claudia Gray. This is YA, but when I read it in early 20s, this was an absolute banger for me. I loved this. So if you are into YA, then definitely check this out as well. So yeah, let's get into my 5 recommendations first. First up, I want to recommend Hybrid Child by Mariko Ohara. This is a Japanese translation, and when I read it, I gave it 3.5 stars. So I really give a lot of kudos to this author and this book because it tries to do a lot and it's very ambitious, and it gave me so much to think about, which is why like I have over time thought about it like often. Like it sticks with you because of all that it does. So I'm referencing my review. I will also leave my reviews linked down below if you want to check them out as well. So my original review said it is wildly imperfect, but also one of the most imaginative, compelling, and memorable sci-fi stories I have ever read. It follows sample B number 3, who goes by he, but because this is like a body transformation situation, they also take a form that's a she, known as Jonah. So the main character of the novel is a shape-shifting immortal war machine who can take the form of whatever he samples. So for the majority of the book, he lives as Jonah, a young girl that he consumed, but whatever he consumes, he can transform into, like even like a fighter jet. So very, very cool. So some of the vibes, to give you an idea, like I said, shape-shifting war machine, who consumes to live. So I said it's No Face from Spirited Away, but scarier times Transformers. There's also an 800-year-old ancient baby with visions. Think the Espers from Akira kind of thing. When sample B number 3 escapes from Earth and is traveling through the galaxies, they eventually come to this planet, which is controlled by an out-of-whack mother AI system that is trying to care for / killing the planet's inhabitants. So the themes in this are life, death, immortality, body horror, transformation, loneliness, connection, apathy, empathy, fate, agency, old, young, and nihilism and hope. Like I said, it is very imperfect, but it is so original. You would never read this book and be like, oh, I've read that before. You have never read this before. Like no one has read this before. The rep, there's a non-binary main character, so sample B number 3 takes the pronouns of whatever they consume. A neuroatypical planet-wide sentient AI system, a war android with PTSD, a physically disabled main character who is encased in a coffin which can fly, fight / feed him. So that is, yeah, I forgot about that. There's a character on the planet that lives in a coffin, and that acts as their mode of like everything, transportation, fight, yeah. So the ending in this also was really amazing. Like it stuck the ending. Very body horror and weird factor to the 11 out of 10. Like, it is so good. The second one I want to recommend is The Electric State by Simon Stalenhag. This is a graphic novel with a little bit of story along the sides. I will show you what I mean in a minute. He is a Norwegian writer, and this is set in a dystopian post-apocalyptic America, and we're following a girl who is traveling on a road trip across the country with her robot companion, and everything is messed up and everything is dark and tech. Think like Ready Player One, where people get addicted to technology and then they like rot away. And she's one of the last few people that she knows, and she's going on this road trip. So I will show you what I mean. So like a good example is like, this is what it will look like. So there'll be an illustration and then also text here. And or a double page spread like that. So obviously this is an adult book. This is not for children. It has a bunch of maybe like a little horrifying stuff in here. But I love his illustration style. And this is from a series known as Tales from the Loop, which was also made into a TV show. And we started watching it, wasn't like super enamored with it, but I did want to say that like if you wanted to try this out but you can't get your hands on this, the same vibes are in the TV show if you want to try it out. So yeah, that's The Electric State. I freaking love it so much. Number 3 on my list is The Mad Scientist's Daughter by Cassandra Rose Clarke, and I never hear anyone talk about this, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know. This is so good. This is the book I always think of. There's 2 books I always think of when I think of human AI. This one and one that is number 5 on this list, and I love this, and oh, it's so good. So this is about a daughter named Kat, who, with a C, mine's with a K, and her dad is known as the Mad Scientist. So basically there was the fall of humanity, and then robots helped humanity rebuild the cities, and the dad is in charge of like special robotics. So after, it's kind of like the fall and then the recovery, and they're in this like recovery phase. He is still working on robotics, but humanity's like, we don't need robots anymore. But he's still working on it, which is why he's known as the Mad Scientist. And the one he's working on is a special robot called Finn, who looks and acts human, even though he doesn't want to be human. He was programmed to assist the Mad Scientist and perform his duties like in robotics. He is a billion-dollar machine, but his primary task now in obsolescence is to tutor Kat, the daughter. And as she grows up from like a young woman to like a woman and a mom, he acts as her guardian and kind of constant companion. But the government then grants rights to the robot population, and Finn has to think about what he's going to do. Is he going to do what he said he always wanted to do, which is escape the family? Or is he truly a part of their family and he chooses to stay? And the end, oh my gosh, the end of this book had me a stressed mess. Like, a stressed mess oh my gosh. I think I've reread this 2 or 3 times, and I really, really, really love it. I love this so much. Finn is such an interesting take on robots and how they would feel about being a part of a family, whether they're truly a part of the family or not once they're given the choice to leave. Yeah, so if that sounds good to you, definitely check it out. It's for like, if you like, I guess, light sci-fi with romantic elements and also really good discussions as well. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I give it 4.5 stars, and actually I really regret not having it on my shelves, so I might buy it this year. Okay, Number 4 is The Membranes by Ta-Wei. This was in my best books of whichever year I read it. This I gave 4 stars, so it's not a perfect book, but it's one of the ones like Hybrid Child where it is original, and I really appreciate how immersive and escapist that is. So we are set in seabed biodomes because humanity has basically destroyed the surface. And the only ones who are up there are cyborgs who maintain solar panels for energy down below. And we're following Momo, which Momo is Peach, which there's a peach on the cover. Anyway, she thinks a lot about the difference between cyborgs who work on the surface, androids who are more like service-oriented, military units, humans, and who deserves the right to live for themselves and who should be sacrificed for others. Because she works in a very specific job where she is massaging people's skin, and in this world she massages on a layer so they don't age. She then peels it off and renews it at the next appointment, but the thing is it's memory skin, so she puts on their discarded skin and accesses like their memories and can live as them in their skin. Which, if that sounds weird to you, you're right, it is weird, and I love that. I love it so much. So she's doing that job, and while she's doing it, she's contemplating all this like human android stuff because her mother is a very like famous politician, and a lot of those political things like should they have rights, should androids have rights and stuff, her mother is dealing with. So as she's watching her mother, she's also contemplating it. This has an absolutely devastating ending that I did not see coming at all. So it changed everything. So before the ending, it was going to be like a 3.5, but the last 20% was so good that I was like, oh my God, you absolute genius. You just blew me out of the water. Good job. That was awesome. So this was my favorite of the year, and then I think the next year it started to percolate more because I had an arc, so I read it before it came out, and happily, a lot of people have read it and did love it. So if that sounds interesting to you, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And then the number 5 I want to talk about is the most popular, like most reviewed. This is Chobits by Clarke, and okay. So I read this probably when I was in middle school, and this has really stuck with me because we're following like a 19-year-old guy who finds a humanoid computer in the trash. So he turns her on and he realizes that she must be broken because she can't say anything other than chi. She can't do word processing, and she can't connect to the internet, and she can't network with other persocoms, which are the word for like personal computers. So in this world, there are like humanoid robots that are personal companions to people. They might take the form of like a spouse or a girlfriend who passed away, and they are acting as like your grief partner. There are ones who are like little, and they're kind of like a cell phone equivalent, I guess. So he's really confused, like what is the purpose of her, because she doesn't really do anything other than exist and say chi. Obviously, there's way more to chi than we know. And there are 2 main things that I absolutely loved about this that have stuck with me over time. First is the art. Obviously, the art is some level of magnificence. Like, obviously, Clarke does nothing but wonderful, beautiful art. I truly think Clarke has one of the most originally beautiful illustration styles, and I think they were the forerunner for the kind of movement that we see, the soft, round movement that we see in a lot of like, especially hair, to show movement and clothes. So it's undeniably beautiful. Like, look at how beautiful that is. And the other thing I loved beyond, and it never faded for me, is Chi is given this book about finding someone who will love her as she is, as she's imperfect. And it is a children's storybook that she's given, but she reads it over and over as she's trying to find her place in the world and think about what she wants to do. Like, who does she want to be? Does she want a job? Does she want to stay with the guy who found her? Does she want to seek out other adventures? Like, and this is the little being. It's like a little rabbit with like a hood that goes over its ears. And I can't really explain. It's like a nostalgic childhood thing. But I wouldn't be surprised if I get a tattoo of this little buddy in my lifetime. Because the idea of finding someone just for you, who accepts you, that was such a message I needed at that time in middle school. Because that was just when a lot of my like mental health stuff was starting to manifest. I just found it like really isolating and pretty scary. And this little like silly bunny rabbit story in here just really was mostly everything to me at that time. Like, I really appreciated it. So this and Mad Scientist's Daughter are the two that I think about and think about all the time when I think about human AI elements. About, yeah, just why I love them and like the original ones that made me, yeah, love this like very niche element. So yeah, those are my 5 recommendations. Let me know if you're gonna pick any of them up. Also, let me know if you have any recommendations, because I already have enough AI recommendations for a part 2. I will space them out, obviously, but I do love to read it. So please let me know your recommendations down below. And also, if you have any 5 specific rec videos that you would like to see from me, please leave that down below as well. And I will see you in another video soon. Lots of love. Bye!